Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we extract the crucial insights from the sources you're curious about, giving you a shortcut to being truly well-informed.
And today we're digging into the product manager's toolkit. We're looking at the specific tools and frameworks they use across the entire product journey based on those chapter excerpts you sent over.
Yeah, the goal is really to get a structured look at these essential concepts, right? So you can see how they all fit together.
Exactly. It's a big landscape, so having a map helps.
Okay, let's kick things off where it all begins. The conceive phase. This is about those initial sparks, the early ideas. And the source starts with product portfolio management. This isn't just looking at one product in isolation, is it?
No, not at all. It's a much bigger picture. Think of it as managing the whole family of products, the ones you have now, the ones you're planning, and making sure they all line up with the company's overall strategy.
So it's the bridge between, like, the CEO's vision and what the product teams are actually building.
Precisely. And a huge piece of that is deciding where the resources go. You know, the money, the people, the focus, from the very top right down to specific product roadmaps.
Right. And it's not just about deciding what to do.
Exactly. The source brings up that Steve Jobs, quote, knowing what not to do is just as critical. Strong product leaders are ruthless about focusing resources on the things that really matter and stopping things that aren't aligned or performing.
Makes sense. Which brings us to one of the classic tools for that kind of focus, the BCG Growth Share Matrix. Why is this one still around?
Well, it's a really intuitive way to visualize your product lineup. Imagine a simple four-box grid.
Okay.
Up the side, you've got market growth rate, basically how fast the entire market for that type of product is growing.
Right. Market speed.
And across the bottom, you have relative market share, so how strong your product is compared to your biggest competitor in that market.
Got it. Growth versus share. So what are the four categories? Let's start bottom right.
Those are the dogs. The market isn't growing much, and your share is low.
Doesn't sound promising.
Often, no. They can tie up resources without much return. So disinvestment is frequently considered for dogs. You know, prune the garden.
Okay, clear out the underperformers. What about top right?
Those are question marks. The market's growing fast, which is good, but your share is low. These are the big gambles.
High potential, but risky.
Exactly. They need a lot of investment to try and grab more share, and there's no guarantee they'll succeed. It's a tough call. Double down or cut your losses.
Okay, now, top left, that sounds like the place to be?
That's where your stars are. High growth market, high market share. These are your leaders, your winners.
So just keep pouring fuel on the fire.
Pretty much. They need ongoing investment to stay on top and really capitalize on that market growth.
And the last box, bottom left.
The cash cows. Market growth has slowed down, but you still have a high market share. These are mature, established products.
The reliable moneymakers.
Exactly. They generate solid profits without needing massive investment anymore. And that profit, that cash flow, is what you often use to fund the stars and maybe take a chance on some of those question marks.
Ah, I see how it connects. The cows fund the future stars and the potential stars. And the source mentions products can move through these boxes over time.
Yeah, that's the typical life cycle. A star's market might mature, so it becomes a cash cow. Eventually, even a cash cow might decline into a dog.
Which means you always need new ideas coming through.
Absolutely. You need a pipeline of potential new products, those question marks, hoping some will become the next generation of stars. Without that, you're vulnerable.
Now, the source also mentions the GE McKinsey matrix as a sort of more sophisticated version.
Yeah, it builds on the BCG concept, but adds more nuance. Instead of just market growth rate, it uses industry attractiveness.
Which includes more factors.
Right. Things like market size, how intense the competition is, maybe regulatory factors, stuff like that. And instead of just relative market share, it uses competitive position.
Which looks
your own strengths, brand equity, tech advantages, distribution network, core competencies. It's a broader look at how well positioned you are.
So deeper dive into the market and your own capabilities.
Exactly. And it uses a 3x3 grid, not 2x2, giving you 9 boxes, which allows for, finer distinctions about where to invest, hold, or harvest.
But the core idea, whether it's BCG or GE McKinsey, is the same.
Absolutely. It's all about strategically allocating those limited resources across your different products to best meet your overall business goals, making sure you have a balanced portfolio for today and tomorrow.
Okay, shifting gears slightly within the conceive phase. How do we actually identify new product concepts? The source introduces SWOT analysis, pretty well-known acronym.
Yeah, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. It's a framework for taking stock. You look internally at your strengths and weaknesses, things you control right now.
Like our awesome engineering team or maybe our outdated billing system.
Exactly. And then you look externally at opportunities and threats, things happening out in the market in the future that could impact you.
Like a new potential market opening up or a competitor launching a disruptive product.
Precisely. Strengths and weaknesses are internal, current. Opportunities and threats are external, future. The source gives examples like, we might not deliver on time, that's a weakness, versus technical literacy is expanding, that's an opportunity.
And it's crucial to separate those internal versus external factors.
Very. And the SWOT itself doesn't give you the answers. It just lays out the landscape so you can start figuring out your strategy.
Which leads nicely into the TOWS matrix, which sounds like SWOT backwards.
It kind of is, conceptually. TOWS encourages you to look at the external factors, threats and opportunities first.
Outside-in thinking. Why do that?
The idea is to understand the market context before you start assessing your internal capabilities. It helps ensure your strengths and weaknesses are evaluated in light of what's actually happening out there.
Makes sense. So you look at the O's and T's, then the S's and W's, and TOWS helps generate strategic options.
Yes, it prompts questions like, how can we use our strengths to take advantage of opportunities? How can we use strengths to minimize threats? How do we overcome weaknesses to pursue opportunities? And how do we minimize weaknesses to avoid threats?
So it connects the internal and external factors directly into potential actions.
Exactly. You brainstorm strategies based on those combinations, maybe leveraging a tech strength to enter an adjacent market, or maybe needing to fix a weakness because it makes you vulnerable to a specific threat.
And then you prioritize based on which options best leverage your strengths and address weaknesses relative to the market.
Right. A good SWOT process needs that comprehensive external view, a really honest internal look, maybe backed by data or customer quotes like the source suggests for weaknesses, and then a clear process for generating and prioritizing those strategic options.
Okay, so let's say SWOT points towards an interesting opportunity. The next step seems to be defining the product concept.
Yeah, this is where an idea starts to get a bit more shape. It's that first real attempt to connect a market need with a possible solution.
Usually in some kind of statement.
Often, yeah. A concise statement that tries to answer those basic fundamental questions, like what exactly is the problem? How big is this opportunity really? Who are we aiming this at? What are the key benefits?
What evidence do we have? Who's the competition? What would it roughly do? How's it different? How might we even get it to market?
All of that. It's like a mini proposal. The goal is just to put enough down on paper to justify digging deeper.
So a good concept shows you've done some initial homework market research, competitive landscape, a rough solution idea that fits the company, potential value.
Exactly. The source also mentions the business model canvas here as a popular visual tool to map out those core elements: value proposition, customers, infrastructure, finances.
Now, you might generate several of these concepts. How do you choose which ones get that deeper dive? That seems to be where the idea or feature prioritization matrix fits in.
Right. You rarely have the resources to pursue every single idea, so you need a systematic way to compare them. A prioritization matrix helps you do that using criteria that matter to your business.
And the source lists possibilities like market appeal, competitive edge, timing, potential ROI, how well it fits the strategy, even estimated costs.
Exactly. You pick the criteria that are most important, and then this is key. You define how you'll score each idea against those criteria. You need clear definitions for high, medium, low to make it less subjective.
So for market attractiveness, high might mean $1 billion market, medium 100 million, et cetera.
Something like that, yeah. Then you score each concept, maybe weight the criteria, and tally it up. It brings some structure to the decision.
It helps filter out the weaker ideas early. And the source mentions things like hard stops, like if an idea just doesn't fit strategically, it's out, regardless of score, or minimum thresholds.
Absolutely. It's about focusing resources effectively. You know, a lot of initial ideas just won't make the cut once you scrutinize them systematically.
Okay, so an idea survives the prioritization matrix. Now we're into product concept investigation, really digging in. First up, personas.
Right. Personas are fictional characters you create, but they're based on real research about your target customers. They represent key segments of your audience.
So instead of marketing managers, age 35-45, you create Marketing Mary with a specific job, goals, frustrations, maybe even a photo and a quote.
Exactly. It makes the target audience feel real, tangible. It gives the whole team, designers, engineers, marketers, a shared understanding of who they're building for. It helps guide decisions on features, usability, messaging, everything.
And the source mentions details like demographics, lifestyle, tech skills, pain points, values.
All those things that make them seem like a real person facing real challenges. And it distinguishes between buyer personas, the people involved in the purchase decision, like maybe the end user, their manager, and procurement, and user personas, who are the ones actually using the product day to day. They might have different needs, like an administrator versus a regular user.
Understanding both seems critical, and the key is they're based on research, right? Not just made up by the team.
Absolutely crucial. Good personas come from talking to real customers, analyzing data, not just, creative writing based on internal opinions.
Okay, personas give us the who. Next up, problem scenarios. How do these work?
Problem scenarios basically tell the story of the persona encountering the problem you aim to solve. They put the persona in a specific context.
Like the example in the source. A busy parent trying to make a quick, healthy meal for the family. The scenario would describe that parent, the persona, the setting, weeknight rush, their goal, healthy meal fast, the steps they take now.
And importantly, the frustrations they face with current solutions. What annoys them? What takes too long? What decisions do they have to make along the way?
Like choosing between speed and health, or dealing with complicated recipes.
Exactly. It helps you really understand the context of the problem and the pain points you're trying to address. The source mentions using storyboards or flow diagrams, too, as alternative ways to visualize it. It deepens empathy and sparks ideas for better solutions.
To understand the existing solutions better, we need a competitive analysis matrix. This sounds more detailed than the SWOT's look at competitors.
Yeah, much more granular. This is where you drill down, feature by feature, comparing your potential product against what competitors offer, and not just direct competitors, but maybe alternative ways customers solve that problem today.
And it's not just a checklist of features, right? It's about how well they do each feature.
Exactly. You rate their level of support or performance for each feature. And crucially, you also include a column for how important each feature is to your target market, your personas.
So you can see where competitors are strong on unimportant features or weak on things customers really care about.
Precisely. It helps you spot the real gaps, the opportunities for differentiation. Where can you deliver something better on the features that matter most? It informs your own feature prioritization and positioning. But, as the source wisely warns, don't just blindly try to match every competitor feature. Focus on customer value.
Okay, after all this investigation, personas, scenarios, competitive analysis, you need to pull it together. That brings us to the Market Requirements Document, the MRD.
Right. The MRD is a key deliverable. It captures the output of that investigation, it defines the target market, spells out the need or gap you've identified, and outlines what the market expects from a successful solution. It sets the stage for what the product needs to be.
It synthesizes the why and the what from a market perspective, and it includes those personas and problem scenarios.
Usually, yes. And it details the requirements. The source splits them into two main types. Functional requirements, what the user needs to be able to do with the product, things like button clicks or specific process flows, and non-functional requirements. These are more about how the product performs, its qualities and constraints, things like speed, capacity, security, reliability, maybe physical or environmental constraints, internationalization needs, legal compliance. It's a long list.
Wow, yeah, lots to consider there. So a good MRD clearly stakes the market gap, covers all those market-driven requirements, both functional and non-functional sets, objective success measures, prioritizes what's critical versus nice to have from the customer's view.
And importantly, it focuses on the problem and the market need, not dictating the specific technical solution. And it usually has a target time frame in mind.
Building on the MRD, we then define the product vision and strategy. These sound like the North Star for the product.
They really are. The product vision is that high-level, aspirational statement about the future value the product aims to deliver. It's the long-term dream.
Where do we want this product to be in 3 to 5 years?
Exactly. And the product strategy outlines the high-level plan, the major steps, and importantly, the boundaries, what you will do and what you won't do to achieve that vision.
So vision is the destination, strategy is the high-level map to get there.
Nicely put. A good vision paints a compelling picture, identifies the customer and problem, sets a high bar, and is stable over time. A good strategy breaks the journey into phases, defines key activities, and sets measurable objectives, both longer-term business goals and shorter-term project milestones.
Then we get more tactical with the product roadmap. This is where we start seeing timelines and deliverables.
Right. The roadmap translates the strategy into a more concrete plan, usually visualized over multiple development cycles. It shows the planned phases and the high-level features or objectives expected in each phase.
And it's a communication tool, isn't it? Both internally and sometimes externally.
Absolutely. Internally, it's crucial for aligning everyone, engineering, marketing, sales on the direction and priorities. It helps with resource planning and measuring progress. You might have a more detailed internal version.
And maybe a simpler, higher-level version for partners or key customers.
Exactly. But the source gives a good warning here. Be careful what you share externally. Roadmaps can change, and external audiences often see them as firm commitments. You don't want to overpromise.
Good point. So a solid roadmap guides decisions, aligns with the vision and strategy, has executive support, and crucially, it's a living document. It gets updated.
Definitely. Things change, you learn more, you adapt.
To boil down the essence of the product's value, we have the positioning statement, the elevator pitch.
Exactly. It brings together your value proposition and your market positioning into one concise, impactful summary. How do you quickly explain what your product is, who it's for, what problem it solves, and why it's better than the alternatives?
The source mentions Geoffrey Moore's template, which is pretty standard. For target customer whose statement of need opportunity, the product name is a product category that's statement of key benefit. Unlike primary competitive alternative, our product statement of primary differentiation.
That's a great framework. The key is it focuses on benefits, not just features, and it clearly differentiates you. The source also mentions using analogies. It's like X but for Y, or user stories as other ways to frame it.
Even in this early conceive phase, you need to start thinking about the launch strategy.
You do. It's not the detailed launch plan yet, but it's about documenting your initial assumptions about how you'll take the product to market. What channels will you use? What kind of marketing support will be needed? This helps estimate the scope, resources, and budget required for the launch effort later on.
Because launch costs can be significant, sometimes even more than development for new products.
Absolutely. So this early strategy looks at the basics. Who do we need to reach? How will we reach them? What's the core message? What result are we aiming for? It starts sketching out ideas for channels, collateral, training, advertising, PR, maybe even forecasts.
So it informs the overall plan and ensures marketing and sales considerations are baked in early. And finally, for this phase, the project charter. This sounds like the official go-ahead.
It really is. It's the document that formally authorizes the project. It outlines the high-level scope, objectives, deliverables, initial schedule, resource needs, communication approach, key risks, and importantly, it grants the project manager the authority to execute the project.
So it gets everyone on the same page, confirms stakeholder buy-in, clarifies who owns the budget, and ensures the objectives are clear and agreed upon before you really start spending money and time.
Exactly. It's the formal kickoff.
Okay. That covers the conceive phase. Now we move into the plan phase. Here, things get more detailed, right? Planning for development and launch. Starting with the product requirements document, PRD. How does this differ from the MRD?
If the MRD was about the market need, from the market's perspective, the PRD is about the product specifics, the how for the development team. It translates those market needs into detailed instructions for the builders.
Got it. So it gets into the nitty-gritty of features and functionality.
Exactly. It answers questions like, who are the specific users, referencing personas? What actions should they be able to perform? Functional requirements, often detailed as user stories or use cases. What are the specific performance levels, design constraints, compatibility needs, non-functional requirements? What supporting things are needed, like documentation or accessories?
So it needs to be super clear for the dev team.
Absolutely. A good PRD leaves no ambiguity. It ensures developers know exactly what to build, supporting teams know what's coming, and the complete customer experience is defined. And the requirements themselves need to be good, verifiable, clear, complete, consistent, traceable back to the MRD, viable, necessary, and crucially, free of implementation details. They describe what, not how to code it.
Alongside the PRD, there's project planning. The source distinguishes this from the broader product management plan.
Right. A project plan is very specific to a particular development effort or release. It's tactical. It details how the team will execute this project, manage it, evaluate progress, handle changes. It often covers multiple sub-projects development, maybe manufacturing setup, IT ops, support readiness.
It maps out all the activities, who does what, when, and how they depend on each other.
Exactly. It removes ambiguity. It's the single source of truth for scope, timing, assumptions, risks, resources, quality standards, roles, like using a RACI matrix, responsible, accountable, consulted, informed, communication plans, risk management, budget tracking, change control, all of that for this specific project. And it's a living document.
So the project plan is about executing a specific release. What about the product management plan then?
That's more strategic, longer term. Think of it as the central binder, the repository for all key documents related to the product over its life cycle.
So it would contain things like the project charter, the MRD, the PRD, the roadmap, the overall strategy docs, maybe summaries of project plans, cross-functional team needs, communication plans, risk assessments.
Exactly. It's the go-to place for anyone needing the big picture or key details about the product's strategy and status. It keeps everything organized and accessible.
Okay, moving into the develop phase. The product is actually being built and tested. A key activity here is usability evaluation, making sure people can actually use the thing.
Critically important. A product might be powerful, but if it's confusing or frustrating, people won't use it. Usability testing checks how easy and intuitive it is for real users to accomplish tasks.
And the process involves getting target users, personas again,
Yeah.
giving them typical tasks, and watching them.
Yeah, observing them. You measure things like task completion rates, time taken, how quickly they learn, and their satisfaction. Sometimes you have them think aloud so you hear their thought process.
What are the different ways to do this?
The source mentions a few. A formal usability lab gives you control and detailed analysis, but it's artificial. On-site usability tests, users in their own environment, more realistic, but harder to control. Remote usability, using web tools, is often cost-effective and scalable.
And the outcome is basically a list of usability problems found, prioritized for fixing.
Right. Based on where users struggled, what they said, maybe even their facial expressions. It feeds directly back into development to improve the user experience.
Before releasing to the public, there's alpha and beta testing. What's the difference?
Alpha testing is typically internal. Your QA team, maybe some internal employees or very select friendly customers, bang on the early versions to find major bugs and issues. It's about internal quality checks.
Okay, shaking out the big problems.
Then beta testing is external, with real potential customers in their own environments, but before the official launch. The goal here is broader. Does it meet their needs? Does the functionality work as expected in the real world? Is it complete? Is the quality acceptable? How's the usability in practice?
So it's a final reality check with the target market.
Exactly. The scope and length can vary a lot. But a good beta plan, as the source outlines, covers the why, the goals, who to recruit, how to manage feedback, what support to provide, the schedule, costs, legal aspects, and how that feedback will actually be used to make launch decisions. It shouldn't just be a checkbox exercise. It's a huge learning opportunity.
And as development progresses, the launch plan gets fleshed out from the earlier launch strategy.
Right. Now it becomes much more tactical, very marketing focused. It details the final messaging, positioning, pricing, promotions, forecasts, all the specific collateral needed. Brochures, website updates, data sheets, sales tools, demos, ad campaigns, PR activities, social media plans, training schedules, and detailed milestones and costs. It's the playbook for the launch execution.
Got it. It aligns everyone for the big day. Which brings us to the qualify phase. It's all about the final checks, right? Are we really ready?
Precisely. The main tool here is the Launch Readiness Checklist. It's a comprehensive review across all the functions involved.
Like a pre-flight checklist for a rocket launch.
Good analogy. It covers areas like product readiness.
Yeah.
Is development done, QA signed off, compliance met? Marketing readiness, messaging final, website updated, collateral printed, PR ready. Sales and channel readiness, price and set, training complete, demos working, contracts ready.
I mean, also operational aspects.
Yes. Manufacturing operations readiness, inventory, systems for services, support readiness, staff trained, knowledge base updated, ordering payment readiness, distribution logistics readiness, and even a final update to the business plan with final forecasts and costs.
Wow, it's exhaustive. The goal is just to ensure no critical step has been missed before pushing the button.
Exactly. Total alignment for launch. And the source notes the importance of capturing lessons learned here, too, for the next launch.
Okay, checklist passed. Now it's the launch phase. Time to execute. The product launch plan we just discussed is key here.
It's the master plan, the blueprint for everything happening during the launch period, usually driven by product marketing. It ensures everyone knows the strategy, the plan, the timelines, the responsibilities, and how success will be measured.
And underpinning all the launch communication is the messaging and positioning platform.
Yes. This is the core document that ensures consistency. All your communications to the press, on the website, to investors, in marketing campaigns should stem from this platform. Without it, messaging can become confusing or ineffective.
So it defines the objectives, the positioning, target audience, market category, key differentiators, the brand promise connection. Basically, the story you're telling.
Exactly. It builds on all the earlier work personas, value prop positioning statement to create that single source of truth for communication.
To make sure the people actually selling the product are ready, there's the sales and channel readiness plan.
Right. This focuses specifically on equipping the sales team and any partners. What tools do they need? What training? How do we handle objections? Are new channel agreements needed? It provides the detailed schedule for training, the specific sales tools for each stage of the sale, guidance on the sales process, and manages partner onboarding if necessary.
And to actually get potential customers interested, you need the demand generation plan.
This outlines all the marketing campaigns designed to grab attention and drive leads. It thinks about the right message for the right audience segment at the right time, using the right mix of tactics, email, webinars, social media, ads, events, etc. It specifies the objectives for each campaign, the themes, the timeline, the budget, and crucially, how you'll measure success. Lead conversion metrics.
You also need to manage influencers, which means an analyst relations plan.
Yes, particularly in B2B markets. This plan focuses on getting key industry analysts and other influencers aware of and hopefully positive about your product. Who are the key analysts? What's the briefing schedule? What are the key messages for them? How do we track coverage?
And similarly, a public relations and media plan for broader press coverage.
Right. This guides your interactions with journalists and media outlets. Who are the target publications? What are the key messages for them? Who are the spokespeople? What goes in the press kit? What's the schedule for outreach and announcements? Again, aiming for positive awareness and coverage.
Okay, the product is launched. Now we're in the deliver phase. This is about ongoing management and optimization, right?
Exactly. It's not over once it's launched. First tool mentioned here is the market analysis template, focusing on market share.
Why market share specifically, not just sales?
Because total sales can be influenced by the overall market growing or shrinking. Market share tells you how you're doing relative to the competition, which is often a better indicator of performance. Are you gaining or losing ground?
Makes sense. It isolates your performance a bit more, but getting total market data can be tricky.
It can be. That's where industry analyst reports often come in. This analysis helps you forecast future share, revenue, margins, and make decisions about where to invest more or maybe where to pull back. It helps identify products that might be heading towards retirement.
And speaking of reaching the market, there's the channel strategy and plan.
This is about proactively managing how you get your product to customers. Are you using the right mix of direct sales, partners, online channels? It helps you plan for expansion, reach new segments, maybe test new markets, and ensure your channels are effective and profitable. It involves selecting the right channels and partners, defining roles, setting goals, and managing those relationships.
For products with multiple versions, a clear pricing comparison chart is important.
Yes, making it easy for customers to understand the differences between your basic, pro, enterprise versions, or whatever you call them. Showing the key features and price points side by side helps them choose the right fit. Like the TurboTax example, simple and clear. Keep it to a manageable number of options, maybe 3 to 5.
And product demos remain crucial post-launch for attracting new customers.
Increasingly so. Buyers want to see it work. Effective demos need to be concise, focused on solving the customer's problem, tell a story using relevant use cases, and clearly show the benefits. Making them engaging, maybe showing real people, helps too.
Analyst relations doesn't stop at launch either, so there's an ongoing analyst strategy and briefings plan.
Right. You need to keep key analysts updated on your progress, new features, customer successes. Regular briefings maintain visibility and hopefully positive sentiment. The source gives tips like focusing on problem solved and ease of use, sending materials in advance, and using demos effectively.
And the public relations and media plan also continues. to sustain momentum.
Absolutely. PR is an ongoing effort to maintain brand awareness, establish thought leadership, announce updates, share customer stories, and manage the company's reputation. The source suggests a structured approach. Define objectives, set measurable goals, know your audience and messages, schedule activities, choose your tactics, press releases, articles, blogs, interviews, support it with online assets, and track your results.
Finally, we reach the end of the line, the retire phase. This needs planning too, with an end-of-life EOL plan.
Yes, and it's often overlooked but really important. You need a plan to withdraw a product gracefully, minimizing disruption for customers, partners, and your own internal teams. It's like a launch plan in reverse.
What does it need to cover?
It needs to answer questions like, which product exactly? Why retire it? What's the strategy? Sell it off, just stop selling, harvest remaining revenue. What are the risks? How will we support existing customers? Migration path, support duration. Who's impacted internally and externally? What are the key dates and milestones?
So it needs clear communication plans, analysis of the financial and operational impact, risk assessment.
All of that. A good EOL plan is clear, realistic, considers all the dependencies, and aims for the lowest possible negative impact. It's often a difficult process, but necessary for healthy portfolio management.
Wow. That is quite a comprehensive toolkit, from the very first glimmer of an idea in the conceive phase, all the way through planning, developing, launching, delivering, and eventually retiring a product. There's a specific tool or framework to guide nearly every step.
There really is.
Yeah.
And knowing these tools, understanding when and how to apply them, is what allows product managers to navigate that complexity, make smarter, more strategic decisions, and ultimately increase the chances of building successful products.
It's not just about having the tools, but using them effectively. So perhaps a final thought for you listening. Think about your own context. Which of these tools we've discussed today resonates most with the challenges you're facing or the areas you're working on? How might applying a more structured approach like one of these frameworks unlock new insights or lead to more confident action?